day and say your affirmations. Go. Wake up every day and say your affirmations. Go. Wake up every day and say your affirmations. Go. Wake up every day and say your affirmations. Go. Happiness and kindness is a choice. Wake up.
Oh man.
Did it go through? Like it's still
Nope, it's on yours. You're good.
It's me?
Yes, it's on you. I'm saying you're live. You're good.
Okay.
I'm
It's still
looking
I can
from your
still see
page.
the delay.
Yeah, same here.
Like what's going on? Like I'm not I am not happy about that. Yep, it then went straight
Yes,
to it.
yes. Shout out to everybody that's already chiming in. I see you out there.
Thank you. We appreciate
Yes,
you.
yes.
Was that message from my brother?
Yes.
Okay.
He had to restart the computer. He's gonna log in.
Okay. All right. I'm everywhere. Yep. Let me go ahead and pin this up to the top. How are we on things that people don't want to talk about? Okay, perfect.
Yep, good to go there.
Yeah. Tell Queen I said thank you for that like already. Thank you, boo.
Yes, give us them likes and loves. Y'all go ahead and put them up.
Feel
Put up
free
those likes and loves.
to share the live. We
Yes.
really appreciate you all's support. We've been at this for over a year now. We have the page, things that people don't want to talk about. And we really appreciate you all's support. And sorry I missed you all last week. I was down with respiratory infection. I don't even want to get into that. We're going to have to talk more about that so-called infection. But anyway,
that's going around.
It is going around. This is things that people don't want to talk about, brought to you by me, God Level. I am a nurse. I am a mother. I am an entrepreneur. I have a podcast. I am everything good. John, you want to go ahead and represent yourself?
John Nicholson, aka John Skywalker, the Star Talker here, spoken word artist, lyricist, musician, father, personal trainer, lover of life, student of psychology. All right. Got a new album right here. It's been streaming for, a little while, just a little while. The Law of Affirmations. This was my attempt at introducing affirmations to my audience. I know that they're familiar with it, but this is also for those who weren't familiar with it. I love affirmations, and this was my musical rendition to affirmations, just to encourage it in the community, in your life. So if you don't know what affirmations are, you should listen to the album. If you know what affirmations are, you should listen to the album. Salute.
Diamond, you want to go ahead and represent yourself?
Hetepu Uncle Jasenev. I am Saba Diamond, teacher, spiritual teacher, life coach, father, entrepreneur, owner of the Abode of Osar Institute of Personal Excellence, which is launched in 2023. High-level life coaching, all kind of guidance for all areas of your life. All of my expertise are thrown into that entity. It is an LLC, a registered LLC here in California. So all in all, just a lover, one who gives service to all of you because I know who you are, even if you don't.
King Newborn, you want to go ahead? Oh, well, he gone? Oh, okay, there you go.
No,
you want to go ahead and represent yourself?
Peace, peace, peace. This is King Newborn. You can follow me on Newborn Everything on all social media platforms. And as always, I am of service.
Ashe.
All right, this week's topic is ADHD. After doing just a little bit of research, it was not what I thought it was going to be. Usually when I hear about ADHD, the first thing that comes to mind is a young white boy, but I've actually found some videos, that I've posted on both my page, my personal page, and things that people don't want to talk about page, and how it affects Black women, how it affects Black men. We did have a couple of guests here today. I don't know where they at.
Yeah,
It's
I
okay.
mean, you know,
It's okay.
they're managing their lives. You know, they're managing their lives, but
That's okay.
yeah, yeah, and you know, heart goes out to them, of course, because
Absolutely.
first off, my heart goes out to anyone with that's living with a mental disorder, because wow, the impairments on our quality of life, you know, and I love that on this podcast we capture the experiences and the essence of mental health, because you know a lot of people are just trying to make it right, and you're living with an undiagnosed mental illness, and then or a diagnosed mental illness, and ADHD in my view doesn't seem to get that much exposure, or doesn't get much empathy. And you just have to imagine how it would impact you if you knew someone who has it, right? So yeah, that's kind of like why we're here, right? I am a I'm a stepfather to someone who has it. I am a friend to those who have it. Um, I was even a lover to someone who has it. And it's such an interesting phenomenon to me, because it's like right there in plain sight, but you don't know what it is. Like, and like you really have to be plugged into some scientific literature, or just someone who's willing to share that information with you, right? But just growing up, and this is what me and Saba Diame was talking about backstage. You know, just you're growing up in the '80s, you don't hear about that. You don't hear about ADHD, right? The first time I even heard of it, it was called ADD, and it was what attention deficit disorder, right? And from what I understood, just historically speaking, you don't hear about ADD until like the 1980s. They put it in the DSM-3, and then it was like two types, and one was with the hyperactivity, and the other was without it. And so they added the H, you know, permanently to it somewhere in the late 80s. But then right after that, you see diagnoses go up. Now, in the 90s, I was what? I think I was in what? Middle school? Late 90s. I was in middle school. I did not hear about ADD until I was like in was I in college? No. I was in the military. So this is like 20. I'm like 20 now. And I'm gone all my life not knowing about this thing, this condition. And here it is. I find out about it, curious about it, but I still don't know what it is. And then you come to find out as you get older that a lot of people have it. You know, a lot of people are dealing with it, living with it, living through it. And I care about my peoples, you know, and so I look at my stepson like, okay, this is what he's going through. How can I help him? You know, that this is why we have the topics, y'all. This is why we have the conversation, is to recognize what it is and what you can do to help. Sometimes it's the small things, man. It's the small things that help you to help them maintain the relationships, you know, because they deserve relationships just like the rest of us, right? So,
Of course.
I'm trying to be of service by raising awareness of what ADHD is, and trying to, you know, understand it. And then in that understanding, if not recommend like solutions, if not recommend solutions, at least encourage those who are not here on this podcast today to help find more solutions, you know.
I
So yeah.
say. I say. Well, there's a need to get an understanding of what it is, and we can look at that by you mentioned. At first we only heard of ADD, attention deficit disorder, and then it became attention deficit hyperactivity disorder.
Mm-hmm.
And so what they're naming is now they have a long-term effect that they named in the description of it. So of course, when there's attention deficit, then you're going to become, due to the lack of ability to sit down and focus, you will become hyperactive. So eventually, more and more people started to become hyperactive as a result of not being able to sit down and focus. Now, when we talk about being focused, what we're literally talking about is the inability to be present. It's the inability to be present. So this is why, well, and I'm very careful to say or to associate this with a mental illness, but more so a condition, not an illness.
Okay.
Right? It's more so a condition, which means it's an effect of un put it like let me see of unmanaged behavior. Okay, it's unmanaged behavior. The behavior that's unmanaged is the inability to sit down and focus. We've gone way away from that. We can actually see a correlation between the decline in the quality of our food, along with the increase, in the stages coming from ADD to HDHD. Is that it? Yeah, ADHD, and then even what it looks like even today, because now we've gotten an increase in depression and anxiety. We even have increases. Those are still offsets or offshoots of the same condition, the very same condition. And me as somebody who teaches meditation, one of the first things one of the biggest hurdles of getting people to meditate is trying to get them to sit down and focus, which is what meditation really requires, to sit down and focus and get into a present moment, a state of presence. Before you can even get into, and that could be intentional, because once you do that, then you're literally connecting to your true inner self, and there's a lot of healing to be done within that, a lot of healing and reconditioning that can be done there. So what if something's going on to keep you from being able to do that? That's like somebody locking you in your car and you can't get out your car. That's what it's like. But anyway, I'm giving the metaphysical stuff way too soon. Way too soon. But I just wanted to say that because I wanted to make sure that we, get this, because I got more questions than I do answers when it comes to this. I got more questions, and that's in the questions. Go ahead, beloved.
I would love to hear from someone who's ever watching. If you have ADHD, I would love to hear from you. Tell us your story, and please don't be ashamed, because I think I'm gonna touch with a little bit of it myself.
I think we all got some degree of it.
Yeah, someone else's experience in ADHD. Because again, like I said in the beginning, when I first heard about ADHD, they always attached it to a young white male. So that's the first thing that came to mind when I thought about it. But when you actually do research, if y'all check out that video of that Black woman on things people don't want to talk about, she made a lot of sense how Black girls that has ADHD or that has not been diagnosed with ADHD is seen to be labeled angry little girls, and they are suspended twice as much as their white counterparts. So it's a lot, and it's a lot of stress. We've been told growing up that we are to be twice as good as everybody else, which puts us under a lot of stress, anxiety. So people with ADHD suffer from anxiety as well.
Yes.
Um, and I could see that. And hello, Miss Plain Jane. How are you? I hope all is well with you.
I say.
Mm.
Mm-hmm.
So, go ahead. I just want
So Facebook user, whoever this is, can you put the number up there? Can somebody put the number up there so they can call in?
Yes, right here.
Yeah, let's put the
to,
number
yeah,
up there. Why
call.
don't you go ahead and call in
Oh,
because
Mm-hmm.
you said you're an advocate for learning about you know, neurodiverse people of color and allowances we need. So the thing, but well, because this is a it's definitely going to be a different thing because the response. Okay, great, Ivy
that's
Tanner.
Ivy.
Yeah. Okay.
Ivy.
Yeah. Yeah. There
All
we
right.
go.
I'm
You
sorry.
know
You
what?
come up as Facebook user because
Yeah.
I'm thinking that you're probably uh
She's in
yeah,
things that people don't want
you're
to
in
talk
God
about.
levels. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um yeah. So the thing is, yeah, Ivy, if you could, can you call in
Yeah. Go ahead and
and
call in.
so we could talk about that because the thing about it is it is a different thing because of the responses coming from especially little black kids versus little white kids, and then even as we grow up into adults, the way that manifests and the responses we've already seen how we are treated differently, you know, under the same circumstances. You know, the same circumstances get, you know, white folks sent to mental help to get them mental help, whereas black folks are being sent to prison for the same thing.
That is
Mm-hmm.
Um,
true.
so you know, so
Have her
this is the
call
thing.
in because
She says she's gonna call in. She said, "Oh, okay,
yeah,
yeah."
I hit the wrong, but I hit the wrong button.
Oh, she hit the wrong. Call back in,
Yeah, call back in, Miss
Ivy.
Ivy.
Yeah, call back in. Yeah, because yeah, this is important, and this is another reason why you know I really appreciate Dr. Umar Johnson, who
Yeah.
talks about these things a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And I really appreciate the man every time he comes here to
It's sending me
LA.
straight the voicemail. Here, well, just call me. Call. You know what? I've had this number for so long. You can just call me direct. Um, oh Lord, if I need to, I'll just change it. Put my number up, John. Okay, wait a minute. Let's see.
Yep.
Wait a minute, Miss Ivy.
Hey,
There it
hey,
is.
lady.
How are you?
I'm doing good. Thanks. How about
Good.
yourself?
Wonderful. Happy to hear from you.
Mm-hmm.
I say,
I'm happy to hear from you too. It's been a while, Mama.
Absolutely.
Oh,
Yeah, so you guys
okay.
wanted to talk about ADHD. Listen, I'm telling you, I am like my whole entire family. We are all neurodiverse in some type of way, shape, or form. I've
Okay.
got inattentive ADHD. My son's got inattentive ADHD. My daughter has. She's got the classic ADHD, which is the ADHD with hyperactivity. My spouse, my spouse, he has ADHD, but he's undiagnosed. And then my son,
Mm.
he's autistic and he's ADHD, which they call ADHD.
Mhm.
There are so many different types of levels of ADHD, and it is so hard as Black people in lots of places to get services if you have ADHD, just because of the fact that the way that we have been, the way that we have come up, you know, the way that we have been brought up, you know, like all types of different. There's so many. Girl, I could talk about all kinds of different facets of ADHD. Where do you want me to start?
The
I just
beginning.
got it. No, seriously, like if you were to go look at my page, like
Mhm.
I talk about it so much because there are a lot of women, especially that are undiagnosed with the inattentive ADHD type, and we were always thought of as just flighty or dreamless, but it really has such an effect on us. And
Yes.
like we honestly, we grow up because of the fact that, you know, you're supposed to be quote unquote a strong Black woman, but there's sometimes where you just like, you know, it's not so much as a behavioral issue with ADHD. It is a lack of dopamine. It's literally how your brain works. And because of the fact that our brain works differently than some of our other peers, we're expected to be put into this box. We end up growing up with depression, like anxiety, like performance anxiety, imposter syndrome. You know, we grow up pushing people away, and we don't know why we're doing it, and we're just like, oh my God, like there are so many things that come from ADHD. It's not just what you see on the movies. It's literally like, it's not like, you know, oh, squirrel. No, that's just for the movies. It is literally, it's a high functioning issue. And a lot of it is genetic, and it doesn't necessarily come from it. It does, someone said earlier that you know, like with the kinds of foods that we eat, like we can see that it's prevalent. You know, it's more prevalent in our society. And I realize I've been eating a little bit differently for this last like month and some change, and I realize that some of it does come from the food that we eat, but a lot of it is also genetic. It's really, really genetic. So ask your questions away, because I mean, girl, there is so much. It's like if you don't know how to. Oh, girl, there's so much.
Oh, okay, I have a question. Okay, just one right now. Your diet. What did you change in your diet?
So I had worked with a nutritionist, coach, and I actually started working with her because of the fact that I'm trying to, like, my body was just fat. That's a whole entire another story, whole entire different, you know, thing. And she was saying that, you know, if you eat the food that God made for you on this earth, it's like you'll actually start to cure a lot of those things that you feel. Like I was always fatigued. I was always like, my joints always hurt. Like I was just gaining weight. I was bloating. I always had brain fog. And brain fog is one of the things that you feel with ADHD. But it was worse because I have some, you know, I also have some co-illness or morbidities like that kind of coexist with that.
Mm-hmm.
But once I started eating a very, very clean, like a just whole foods diet, like nothing processed, like nothing with extra any type of preservatives in it. Like once I stopped eating things that like you know, like I would eat fruits and vegetables and meat like in its most natural form, you know, like cooked with like little oil, almost like the Mediterranean diet sort of kind of.
Okay.
And it just it did wonders. Like that was for me, that was the start. That was the start of my like, you know, I was like, oh, I'm feeling a lot different. And I started my kid, well, at least my youngest daughter, I started her eating that way too, and have noticed some changes. Like she's calmed down, you know, she's able to focus a little bit more.
Okay.
So yeah, that kind of plays to it too.
Okay, so now we're gonna get to the beginning. How did you come to being diagnosed?
How did I come to know that I was ADHD?
Yes.
I'm gonna be honest, and this is what happens with a lot of moms, and they find out that they're ADHD. I got reports back from my youngest son. You know, he was always the kid who used to talk a lot in class. You know, because he was always just like he wanted to be the sociable one and da 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 da. They were like, he's smart, but we don't think that he's necessarily living up to his full potential because he's always, you know, fidgeting and doing something and talking and da 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 da. So I was like, you know what? I was like, let me see what we can do about this. So, the way I tackle anything with my kids is like I started Googling some symptoms, and actually I looked in there, and it was saying things about inattentive, well, not even inattentive ADHD, but this ADHD, and I was like, wait a second, some of this stuff applies to me. So when I found out, I got diagnosed the same time that my son got diagnosed, because I found out that me and him, we have the same type of ADHD. And I was like, holy crap. Like, I didn't know. Like, when I finally started using the treatments for it, it opened up a whole entire world of possibilities. Like for real. I was like, whoa, this is crazy. So, yeah, that's when I found out that I was diagnosed. So this was probably about 10 years ago.
Okay. So what was the first thing that you do? What's the first thing that you did once you become diagnosed? Kind of walk us through that. Yeah.
Very first thing that I did, once I found out that both me and him were both ADHD. Well, when I found out that he was ADHD, he had to take a bunch of classes, and he had to go visit like a child psych and all that kind of stuff. And they were like, okay, well, let's talk about like strategies, right? So I was like, okay, well, what are we gonna do? Unfortunately, once we started talking about family strategies, I had to go away. I got deployed, and when I came back, then we had to restart everything. So one of the biggest strategies was, get them to bed on time. Do this. But if I was living in North Carolina, and they were not as quick to medicate him.
Mm-hmm.
And it was, they almost made it feel like the pediatrician that I had at the time, and I think that this is just a Black person thing, like seriously, they almost made it feel like I was failing as a mother by wanting to medicate.
Of course.
Right?
Yeah.
Of course.
Yeah, which was huge. And because remember, I had ADHD, but I really didn't even though we got diagnosed at the same time, I was still feeling 30-something, some odd years of shame for my ADHD. So for me, I was just like, oh, well, we're just going to stay away from medication, da, 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 da. And then it just kept on being a problem. And so after finally swallowing that shame, I was like, well, we've got to do something else. And then started to get him medicated, and I started myself to get medicated. And like I said, that's when everything started to open up. So once I finally got both of us medicated, then we lived on. And then I actually found out later when I moved to Washington State, which is, I'm not going to lie to you, they are much more progressive, especially to all people. They're very inclusive up here. And, I found out that the ADHD is more than just about just the medication. It's more than just about just the medication and just going to sleep early or brushing your teeth at a certain time. There's a lot of therapy that comes along with it because because of the fact that you are looking to train your brain, there are things that you have to train within your brain in order for the medication to be at its peak. So there's this brainwave machine. Girl, I could break this whole entire thing down to
Go ahead.
the alpha waves in the brain and how the
EEG. Okay.
Alpha waves, how they work, and it's different than people that are neurodivergent. When you wake up in the beginning of the morning, people are like, okay, I got to do this, I got to do this, I got to do this. There's a circadian rhythm that neurotypical people are on that everybody else in the world adheres to. However, people who are ADHD, ours is flipped, it's backwards. So when we wake up in the morning, we're like, oh crap, I want to go back to sleep. However, we are like night owls. We want to do everything at night because that's when our alpha brain waves, they shift on. And that's just the way that our brains work. So it's literally if you have this, it's this alpha wave machine. You put this alpha wave machine on a couple of times a week, and it'll help your move alpha waves to your brain in the beginning of the morning instead. There is so much into this thing with ADHD, bro. Seriously, it is so much.
Right.
It's a lot.
Exactly.
Did you have a question? Because I'm invested over here.
Well, I mean, she's hitting on some things that proves what I was saying before, that what we're looking at is a neurological condition rather than an illness. And everything she's talking about is about reconditioning the brain, because what we're looking at here is there are certain behaviors that stem from environmental factors that eventually start to affect the endocrine system, which is the system responsible for producing the hormones. And the hormones is what tells the body what to do. Okay, the hormones set our experiences. So when she talks about lack of dopamine and things like that, dopamine is made from the endocrine system. So is the endorphins, so is all these other things, right? And then when we talk about, when she talked about the alpha brainwave activity, remember, we talk about that all the time. Every time I give a class on meditation, I take you through these brainwaves, and we talk about alpha is that's the gateway into relaxation, right? So when you do that, so that's where you begin to focus, and then so a lot of times when you're in that beta state, when you're in these beta brain waves, you cannot focus. It's a very active, conscious type of brainwave that you cannot bring yourself down to go into a relaxation mode, so you can focus and so you can get into the present moment. So look, beloved, I hear what you're saying, and you're hitting on all the points, making this thing more than just some diagnosis or some condition that just popped up out of nowhere. It's part of something that's going on, and we have to figure that out. And if we don't take the time to try to educate ourselves more on about what's really going on with us, there are people who have control over your experiences in life, and this is just one of those ways they have control over it. So, but we'll get to that later. But yeah, but thank you for saying what you're saying, beloved.
Appreciate that.
Thank you.
Whoa. Don't leave just yet. How is the medication helping?
The medication is a tool like everything else.
Mhm.
But I will not lie to you. Just like I remember we had a discussion before, like when you guys had a panel before about depression and anxiety.
Yes.
And I remember, you spoke about your own experiences with being medicated for some of your things that you go through. And you were like, I never want to be off of this because it evens me out so much.
Mhm.
When you're dealing with ADHD, once you find the correct medication for yourself,
Mhm.
it's literally it's like taking the blinders off. And you think to yourself, like, I remember I'm in a group for ADHD with moms, right?
Okay.
It's a Facebook group. Because being a mom and having ADHD and having kids and having ADHD is one hell of a drug. I'm gonna tell you that right now.
Okay.
And when when you find the right medications though for you, like it literally opens up everything and takes the blinders off, and you're like, you get mad. Like there was this one lady in that group who said, I got mad when I finally took the medication and realized that this is what neurotypical people have been feeling all their lives. Like you feel in lack of better terms, you feel normal. But we realize that there is no normal, but you're actually able to accomplish things without having, those it's like somebody turned down the volume on all of the TVs that are going off in your brain at all times. And that's important. It's literally like when you take somebody who's ADHD, nobody really understands that even if we're quiet, there's 3 radio stations, 2
a million
TVs.
things.
There is construction going on in the background all the time.
Yeah.
All the time. And the way it shows up is just different for each different type of ADHD. Because I don't know if you guys know, but there are 7 different types.
I've seen that.
It's like all of that stuff is always going on. And when you're medicated and when you're on the right medication, it's just like the floodgates finally open. It's like you literally feel
Wow.
like it's much better. At least that's the experience.
What do you? Can I ask a personal question?
Sure.
What medication are you taking right now?
So right now I'm taking just regular Adderall,
Mhm.
and that's because before I had dealt with, I've never taken Ritalin, but before I took Vyvanse, and I've also taken Concerta. But those are, like I said, those are different types for different types of ADHD. So for me, classic Adderall works.
You said Vyvanse, VinPad, VIN.
Vyvanse. It's VYVANSE.
Okay, I've never seen that. Okay, but yeah, I work with geriatrics, but I have seen it before. Oh my God, how is your son doing so far now that he has been properly diagnosed with ADHD, medicated? How is he doing in school now?
So he went to college, but he went to college unmedicated because he was trying to prove something to himself, and he did not do well his first year.
Okay.
Now since he's out and he's remedicated, he's working a job and he's doing fine. But that first year, the first year that he went in, he was not medicated, and he even said, he was like, it just caught up with me, and he was like, he thought that he could prove something to himself by not being medicated for the full year. When he was in school, like when he was in high school and he was medicated, he did a great job.
Okay.
In fact, there was a complete total difference. And I don't advise to do this with anybody else because this is our family, and
right.
And we joke like this, you know what I'm saying? But he would be like, hey, mom, you must be off your meds because you're being a butthole. Or I would say the same thing to him. You know what I'm saying? Like we could tell, like when we weren't necessarily our best selves. So it was like, oh yeah, you need to go ahead and check your prescription. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Yeah, but it was a massive change. It was a massive change, like between being unmedicated and being medicated for the kids in my family. It was huge. It was a huge deal.
Have you tried anything other than medication to help with your ADHD?
Yeah, the brainwave machine that I told you about. That helps out a lot. Also, like exercise helps a big time. I know a lot of different people. They sing the praises of meditation, but for my family, especially for inattentive ADHD, for us, meditation does not work. However, if we found our own way of meditation. If we can meditate, we meditate by searching for the dopamine and doing something that stimulates our dopamine on a regular basis. Like my son, he likes to play bass. For him, if he's just playing bass and if he's just doing a chord over and over and over and over again, that's his way of meditating, because it'll help.
That is meditation.
It's stemming, and it'll help to calm him down. Or sometimes, you'll see kids who have the hyperactivity type, they'll just jump, and they'll jump in the stage for 5 minutes, and it's like they will just keep on jumping. And while it might not necessarily be the healthiest things for parents to try to intake, what you don't understand is that that kid who's got ADHD, that's their way of meditating, because they're charging up the dopamine, and they're also doing something to a rhythm, and that's their way of meditation. So those are the types of things that help in our house.
Absolutely.
Do you have any questions for me? Go ahead.
Yeah, she hit on something important, because a lot of people think meditation is sitting down with your legs in Indian style, and that's not on meditation. Is bringing you back to the middle. It's bringing you back to that. So whenever we do something rhythmic, like she's saying, playing the guitar, or chanting, or doing something, but the main thing is that the mind is being brought back to the present moment, even if it's active, and it's something that you're enjoying. So that's what's stimulating the dopamine, so all those are meditative methods of meditation. So meditation works, and you just have to figure out what form of it works for you, as she was saying. But it's taking your focus away from the outer, and engaging and bringing the inner in touch with the present moment. That's what it's about. Because depression and anxiety comes from a focus on the future and the past. That's what depression and anxiety comes from. And a lot of times, hyperactivity is also associated with levels of anxiety as well. So it's always go, 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 and so forth. So she hit on a lot of good things again. And so I can tell she has not only, she didn't just sit down on her diagnosis, she got educated on it. She's paying attention, she's observing. So I would have to say kudos to you, and just thank you for allowing us to educate you rather than defeat you.
Ooh, beautiful.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Yeah, and I try to educate other people. Like it's just a Facebook page, right? But I try to educate like a lot of other women too. So once another thing that I was talking about before, inattentive ADD is the type that most women have, and it goes so misdiagnosed because of the fact that all of the attention is paid to the hyperactive types of ADHD. Those are the ones who get the most nerves, and then you get the people who have the inattentive type who we just look flighty, or we just look like we don't necessarily we know everything knowledge wise, but just getting it to action is just sort of it's hard for us. It's harder for us. So I have a couple of friends who are on who come on my Facebook page once I post something about it, and they're like, man, I really think that I could be ADHD, and I just never really knew it. Like, good. Well, go take a test. Go sit down and go talk to your go talk to your main doctor and see if you have these things, because I didn't find out until I was in my 30s. When I was a kid, I was just diagnosed as a fighty kid. She's just different. She just followed but it's like she's just weird. And you grow up with all of that trauma, and it's just like it's unnecessary. So the thing is I think that especially for Black women, early prevention and actually being able to treat and being able to know early that you have ADHD, that is what can cause the difference between you succeeding as an adult or either flailing and continuing on the rest of the trauma that your other neurodivergent people in your family had. So I'm glad to be able to talk about it, because I always say I chalk a lot of stuff up. I'm like, yeah, that's my ADHD, but I'm working on it. So there you go.
Right. I appreciate you calling in. I appreciate you sharing your story. And it's not just a Facebook page that you have. You are helping someone.
Oh, absolutely.
You are helping. So it's not just a Facebook page. You are helping someone. Someone that needs it, and we need more people like you in our community to shine light on all of these things that we don't want to talk about.
Can you tell us a little bit more about how ADHD impairs like your normal daily tasks? Like driving, cooking, cleaning. Yeah.
Absolutely, like day one when you wake up. Okay, so first of all, when you have ADHD, getting up, what people don't really understand is that, remember, we still have those beta waves, that we were talking about. We don't have those alpha waves just yet. So it's like, if for us waking up in the morning, it's like we're waking up in the middle of the night. If you can just imagine what that feels like, and you're doing it every day, it's like we're tired until we get our dopamine going, and in some type of way we can have, we can actually like get things started. When we first wake up in the morning also, it's not like, I don't know what you guys do who are neurotypical, but it's like you wake up and automatically there's no easing into the day. You have, once again, 12 TVs, 3 radio stations, a construction worker, all on the outside telling you what you need to do, what needs to get done. You feel shame for what didn't get done yesterday, what's on my stay list, or what's supposed to happen at 3 o'clock. Then there's a song that just invaded you. For some reason, I don't know what it is. When I'm really feeling ADHD, I want to dance with somebody always plays in the background. I don't know.
Why is that in my head right now? And that's crazy. I've been thinking of that song for a long time.
Do you listen to the song?
I don't even listen to the song. It just always.
No, I'm serious, because you're describing my morning, and I'm so happy. And what's crazy is I'm in management, so I don't have to be at work until like 9 or 10 o'clock. And I I could get up at 7 o'clock and still not make it to work until like 10:30. And I'm like, well, what am I doing? I'm walking around the house. I'm pacing. I'm focusing in on other stuff. And it's like I got to get my coffee in. Yeah.
Ma'am, listen to me. I kid you not. Now, before when I used to work, I literally have never lived more than 5 minutes away from my job. I can't. I literally cannot. Because even though I live 5 minutes away from my job, I will still make it there 15 to 30 minutes after the time that I'm supposed to be there. And the reason being is because I wake up, remember, I got all these things installed to me, and for some reason I decide, oh, you know what, I probably need to clean the refrigerator before I go to work. Why? Yes. Why do I do that? It is just the way that my brain works. It's just the way that my brain works. And sometimes I'm able to thwart myself from doing that, but a lot of times, the brain takes over, and I got to do what I got to do. Right. And that's one thing that I wanted to mention. I was going to say that before I get off this phone. This is the biggest part of Black people who have jobs in corporate America, what needs to be advocated for. If you have ADHD, there needs to be allowances made for you, just like any disabled person in any job. Because ADHD has always been a thing with, they want to associate that with, this is just a moral failing of yours. No, this is the way our brain works. So we should be better advocates, especially Black people. Be better advocates in these corporate jobs and get allowances for the fact that you have ADHD. Reasons being is because, yes, you might not necessarily be somewhere on time, but the way that you're going to come at a problem and the way that you're going to fix it is like nobody else has ever seen. Your ADHD is a superpower if you can get past the grief and the shame of having it. And it's also an ADHD. It's also a superpower if the people who you love and the people who you work for make allowances for you, just like they would any other. Just like they would anything else. Anything else that was actually, that had came up in like human resources. You know what I'm saying? Like, you should definitely get allowances for yourself. I just wanted to point that part out.
Oh man, that's beautiful. How can we get that started?
I guess you have to go to whoever your HR person is, or you go to whoever your supervisor is. And I'm not necessarily sure how it works in your how it works at your job, but I'm like, everybody has an HR person or somebody who is an advocate for people with disabilities. Go and talk with them, because they have to be able to cover you. Like, you know, it's like it's a family. It's a family and it's a disabilities issue. And if you hire somebody with a disability, you should be able to make allowances for it. And I'm not saying it's like a disability, like, you know, I you know, you have to make like I don't have a physical disability. I have a performance disability, and here is what it is. But it's also my superpower, and so you guys should still be able to make allowances for me, because it is what it is.
Wow. Oh. Does anybody have any questions?
Yeah. What are some
you got my number. We need to talk. Like, we need to talk outside the show, because I'm so serious. Dude, I get up at 7:00 and sometimes I don't get to work until like 10:30 and 11. And I have more than enough time to get to work, but I am washing clothes, I am doing dishes, I am doing everything else besides getting ready. I'm moving stuff, and then I'll sit, and then yes, there is a song that'll pop in my head, and then I'll have to stop what I'm doing and go listen to that song.
Mine is, it's either that one or it's Chumpa Wumpa. I get knocked down, but I get up again. I'm telling you, like, the radio is in my head. Y'all think I'm playing. It's 3 different stations and it's playing all the time. I get you. When you say that you pal around you are my people. So yes, you call me, because I'm telling you, once I start talking, well, girl, don't get me started talking about ADHD masking and how we mask to make ourselves different. Like, being in the corporate area, and like, I know myself, I will laugh at like the most inappropriate times, and that has harmed me in the corporate scene. Like, but you know what I'm saying? Like, but those are those allowances people have to make for you, because it's not like you mean to do this. This is how your brain works. Come call me.
Yes, ma'am, I will. Yep. I will be calling you. John, do you have any questions for Miss Ivy? Because he was like, hold on.
Oh, yeah. So what are some myths and misconceptions that you've come across that deal with ADHD? What are some myths and misconceptions you've like observed in the population?
The biggest one, and I just mentioned it a second ago, when people think that ADHD is like, oh, you see like that flighty girl who is on the movie and she's like, oh my God, squirrel. Yeah, no, it's not that at all. Like, that's the worst. The second one that I absolutely cannot stand is that people think that if you have ADHD that you are like a ditzy blonde. Like, you don't have, and I will tell anybody, I'm intelligent, okay? And I know the people who are smart and know me don't have to say that, but I'm saying this because y'all don't necessarily know me, but I know I'm smart. I don't necessarily think like everybody else does, but ADHD does not make me, it doesn't make me less than. I might not think the way that you do, but I am intelligent. Do you understand what I'm saying? Like, those are some of the misconceptions. The other misconception is that when you have inattentive ADHD, people think that you're lazy. And it's not that we're lazy. Remember all of that stuff that I told you that goes on in the background, where you hear, like you're hearing the 12 TVs, the 3 radio stations, the concrete way. Literally, if all of that is bombarding you, and you're sitting here trying to get a clear path that says, get up, move your body, go towards the bathroom, go brush your teeth. Like, you're literally trying to cut through all of that at one time just to try to move throughout the day. So when you see somebody with inattentive ADHD laying down, you think that they're just laying down, catch a rest. No, they're laying down with all that noise and all that clutter behind their head, and they're like freaking out. So what you're seeing them doing is they're probably in the middle of a panic attack, but it's silent because it looks different. Like, there's so many misconceptions about ADHD. Like, when you say, like, once again, when you were talking about, like, you know, how we meditate, like how we get a rhythm, and we we're trying to meditate by doing something that's rhythmic to bring us back to center. Some people think that that's just that kid. Oh, that kid is being bad. That kid is doing just doing that to be annoying. No, that's that kid trying to get back to center. So all of those different things in their background of the brain can stop. They're stemming. They're trying to calm down their nervous system. Those are some of the common misconceptions about ADHD right there.
I have a question from one of from the viewers right now.
Mm.
She is asking how has your ADHD affected your relationships, both family and romantic, and how comfortable are you with this type of disclosure?
You already know Renee and y'all know I'm a
Yep.
person, but I don't mind talking about anything, right? So with my family, my ADHD has been weird because one side of my family they have their own neurodivergencies, so they can deal with them, and then I have another side of my family that's neurotypical and they don't understand it at all. So the neurotypical side, some of them they'll be like, kudos to Ivy for living her own life, da 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 da. But then sometimes because of the fact of the way that I just move doing things, they feel like they can't connect. Or no, I won't say that. I won't say that they feel like they can't connect. They feel like I should be doing what they do, and they feel I should be moving what they do. They want to try to be like, oh, the Ivy, she's just strange, she's just weird. And that's perfectly fine. You can call me whatever you want to, but I'm gonna be me. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So that's one half of that. And then, like I said, the other side of my family, they already know that they're neurodivergent, so they're just like, yeah, that's just cuz, or that's just this, or whatever, right? As far as romantic, girl, that's a whole show. That's a whole show. It's been interesting because I really haven't dug into why I have done the things that I have done romantically probably until the last 24 months of my life.
Mm.
So it shows up crazy. I think at the beginning of this I did say that I have an estranged spouse. And we still speak to each other and we're still on a good level, you know what I'm saying? But we didn't even become cool until we both figured out that we were both until I figured out that he was undiagnosed. And then he finally looked at it and was like, oh, dang, yeah, I probably could. Yeah, I probably am. Because there's a lot of stuff that happens within an ADHD relationship. And if you can't make space for somebody else's neurodivergencies, it's not going to work. Period. Yeah. Yeah.
Does anybody have any other questions? Because she is our special guest tonight.
Yeah,
she is literally our special
guest. I mean, I got more. I can keep going. Hold on. So, what are some tools that you use to manage your ADHD symptoms?
There we go.
Okay, so besides just the medication, I also, I'll tell you one of the biggest ones. I wake up in the morning, and in order to cut through the clutter, I chase my dopamine. I chase dopamine every day. That's the one thing that's going to get me up and doing whatever it is that I need to do, right? I find a different, I love making my kids laugh, so I find a different stupid way to make my daughter laugh every morning when I wake her up to get ready to put her on the bus. So that's what I love to do. And that's what I have to do with her. And then she's ADHD too. So if we do something silly in the morning and we're doing something silly, like I'm doing a silly voice to her or something like that, we'll both keep it moving along and we'll both get out and do stuff. So the biggest thing in the morning, actually the biggest thing for my day is I chase dopamine like it owes me money. That's it's serious, because that's what's going to keep me going. If I don't feel, even when I don't feel well, and like I said, I have a couple of other underlying issues also. Like I've got fibromyalgia and things of that sort. So if I also chase my dopamine within all of that, and sometimes that can just be listening to inspirational videos, or sometimes that could just be talking to a friend and creating some type of art of some type of way. Something. I chase dopamine all day like it owes me money, or like it pimp slapped my mama last Friday. I'm dead serious. So that's the biggest tip all day.
I have a confession. I have a weird obsession with cat videos.
Mm-hmm. Does it make you happy?
Yes.
Then that's it. You wake up in the morning and you look for a cat video.
I do. I literally lay in bed.
And cat videos too. So I'm there with you. I'm there.
And oh my God.
They are quite funny.
Dude, cats ain't no joke.
They ain't, especially when you add cucumbers to them. I'm just saying this.
Yeah. But I will sit and I will watch cat videos over and over and laugh and be laughing so hard to where I am dizzy and I'm
I'm gonna
feeling.
ask you one question. When you find your favorite one, do you watch it over and over again?
Yes, as a matter of
Go
fact,
get your- That's it right there. That is one of
I save
those
it.
things, like,
I can tell you which one it is right now. It was two dogs on the bed. It was a light brown cat, and the cat wasn't backing down with these two dogs on the bed. Somehow, one of the dogs got off the bed, and the cat jumped up, grabbed him by the throat, and body slammed him. I have never seen anything
Little get that because my kid, actually everybody in this house, my kid can watch the same video, the same part, like 26 times in a row, and she will giggle every time that she watches it. And I'm just saying, I can get stuck on one song, and I can listen to one song for a whole week. I can get stuck on one show. And I can watch the whole entire show on repeat. And that's one of those ADHD things. I forgot why we do that, but it's just the way our brains work. It's just the way we work.
Another confession. Oh God. I have two shows that I watch over and over again. Game of Thrones and Grey's Anatomy. I will start from the beginning of the season and I will watch it all the way through. Oh my God.
Ma'am, I watched RuPaul's Drag Race season 6 for probably the 18th time. And right now, it's literally on pause. So, yes, ma'am. I'm right there with you.
And I have a question from one of the viewers. She said, "Is medical marijuana a good source of dopamine?" Laughing but very serious. I'm so ashamed.
Okay, so it depends. It depends on what type of ADHD you have. For me, I'm better working with an indica type. But for some people who have ADHD, in order to quiet down the 12 TVs, the 3 radio stations, the construction work that's going on the back, a sativa works. So yeah, ADHD can definitely work for you. I mean, not ADHD can work for you, but different types of medical marijuana can work. And I live in Washington, so it's legal, so I don't mind talking about that either. And I have tried every different type because I was trying to figure out, I was like, what can work for me? So for me, I found that a nice heavy indica will work for me. Like if I really need to relax, but this has to be a time when I don't need to do anything. I literally just have to relax, and it calms everything down. That's like the major shut off switch for me. That's like I just need to relax because my brain is in an overdrive. So yeah, medical marijuana, it does work, but you got to find a strain, and it's going to definitely take some scientific experimentation.
Right. Oh, I'm gonna not comment on that. I'm a whole nurse. I'm not gonna comment. I'm not commenting on it. No, I like my job.
Ivy, how has ADHD affected your self-esteem over time?
So oh God, man, it's just I'm okay. I'm 46. I literally just started over the last 3 years becoming really comfortable with the fact that I have ADHD. I didn't really find out until I was in my mid-30s because, as I said earlier, I was, my son, he was diagnosed. And that's when I figured out that I had it too. And it literally took these last 3 years, just because I've just been going through a lot of things, period. But it just took this amount of time for me to get real comfortable with who I am and having ADHD. I'm going to be honest, as a Black woman, man, there's not a lot of resources for us out there when you have ADHD. A lot of times if a Black woman has ADHD, she's trying to cover it up. She's not trying to talk about it. She's trying to make sure that nobody else knows. But I'm just like I said before, I'm an open book. And I figure that the more that I talk about it, the more I'm an advocate for it, then that means that somebody else doesn't have to go through feeling guilty because of who they are, feeling shame for who they are for having ADHD. When I was little, I used to think that oh my God, I was just like, no, I'm smart, but why do I do this stuff that's just like, why do I do things that are different from everybody else? I just wanted to be quote unquote normal. I wanted to be the normal girl and X, Y, and Z. And, it grew up just making me think that that I was less than because I couldn't accomplish everything else that everybody else was. Making me feel like I was, I don't know, like I was just from a different planet. So it really it played into who I was as an adult. And I even heard a lot of people. I don't know if you guys know, but I went to an art school.
Mm-hmm.
So everybody thought. I guess a lot of people thought I was going to get out and do something artistic. But I went from an art school to college to the Army. Everyone was like, we never thought that you would go to the Army. And I realized that my brain was actually straight. It was craving some structure, but it was craving structure, but also the ability to do something different every day. And I think that that's the reason why I went into the Army, and I got a lot of my esteem from my job that I did, and I thought that I needed it. But then, when I came out, it was like, okay, well, who am I now? So I really had to become comfortable with everything that Ivy was in these last 3 years and find my esteem from just being me. And one of the parts of me is being ADHD. And now I feel like it's a superpower because I understand it and because I can manage it.
I was looking up ADHD in St. Louis. I got to go sit down and talk to somebody.
Yeah, go talk to somebody.
I am. Oh my God. I want to thank you, Ivy, for calling in. Wait a minute. I'm sorry, John just gave me a look.
Huh? No, I'm looking. Go ahead.
I called, but it's busy. I'm a neuroscientist. And Renee's sister. Yeah, that's Dr. Sherelle Henderson. That is my sister.
I was asking her to call in because she's kicking some, me. When I see somebody kicking scientific facts,
I know.
Let's go. Let's go.
That is my. No, I want you to understand. That's my blood sister. We have the same mother.
Understood.
All right. Yeah, she's she's been kicking hardcore facts all evening.
Yes.
Ivy, I have enjoyed this conversation. I got your number. I got you locked in. I will be calling you, honey.
Girl, give me a call. You already know. And look, I'm over here on the West Coast. I'm 3 hours behind you. Call the girl.
Yes, ma'am, I will. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Miss Ivy.
Peace, Miss Ivy.
Thank you guys for opening this discussion up. I really appreciate it.
Okay.
We appreciate your contribution.
Before you go, let everyone know about the page that focuses in on ADHD that you have created. And please,
I haven't created a page myself. I'm just a part of a group that's called Moms with ADHD. But maybe I should start my own Black Girl ADHD page.
Okay, that's what I'm saying.
Do it. I'm excited. Do it. Do it.
Pioneering.
Do it. Oh my God. I'm sorry I had to clap. I'm sorry I got real excited. I'm sorry I got real excited. Black girl with ADHD. Because you never know who needs to hear that information. I'm telling you, I posted that video of that Black woman talking about ADHD and growing up and how some Black girls are suspended at school twice as much as their white counterparts because they are viewed as, they're just angry, they're just mad, they're uncontrollable. Yes. That's not even it.
Something I didn't even think about that. Oh my God. Masking.
There it is.
Okay. Last part. I promise you.
Go ahead.
When you have ADHD, we do something called masking. We mask who we really are so we can fit in with everybody else, right? So remember I told you that sometimes I laugh at board meetings because my brain, it doesn't want to shut off and it wants to laugh at something that somebody says and it's completely and totally inappropriate. I learned not to laugh at things, period, when I was in a professional environment, just because of the fact that I didn't want to do it inappropriately. So when you are, a lot of times when I was growing up, I found myself wanting to be the quote unquote, and this is horrible, please don't judge me for this, guys, but I wanted to find myself as being the agreeable Black girl, because the rest of everybody around us, it's like you were allowed to, if you were Black, you were allowed to be, exuberant and all those kinds of different things. But I thought because of the fact that something is wrong with me and I'm not normal, I'm not allowed allowed to be exuberant like that. I just have to be happy. And I have to get along because not everybody is going to be able to handle the real me. So I had to cover all of that up, and I felt like I had to cover up a lot of my blackness when I was young, because of the fact that it wasn't acceptable. I had to cover up all of my ADHD-isms because of the fact that it wasn't acceptable, And I feel that you got a lot of black women who do have ADHD, and they think that things are wrong, and they probably they'll be considered a label troublesome or angry or just talks a lot or just stirs a lot of shit. Oh, excuse me, I'm sorry, that's the wrong word. It stirs a lot of stuff, and they do it just because of the fact that it's like that's the way that their brains are working, and they're like, I see injustices and this is not right, and they want to say something about it. But the thing is that that's not it at all. It's the way their brains work. So yeah, that's a huge part of who you are also as a black ADHD girl is masking who you are, and that also brings you up with a lot of anxiety and depression, and just like you put a whole bunch of different things on yourself. You put a lot of pressure on yourself to fit into this mode. Girl, we could talk about this all day long.
Yes,
okay,
we
I'm
can.
done. I'm getting off the phone.
Thank you so much
for having this topic. I appreciate you guys all. Yeah.
When you get that page created, make sure you share it to things people don't want to talk about. Send it to me. I will share it. I want everyone to know about this. You almost had a girl crying on here because she was so you spoke to
She
her.
thought she was alone.
She said, I thought I was alone, and she didn't know that she's not alone.
That's what it's about.
That's it right there. So you got to do that page. Black girls with ADHD. That will be so beautiful. And if you ever need to pump up your business, or not pump up your business, but come on or have it a show about it with us, we would gladly do it again. Oh my God!
I really appreciate y'all. Thank you so much, guys.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Wow.
All right.
Ashay.
Wow. That was beautiful. Such a treasure. That was a treat. That was such a treat. And so Cheryl, Cheryl, is it Cheryl? Cheryl?
Sherelle Henderson.
Yes. Call in, beloved. So I would love to talk to
Henderson. Yeah.
An actual neuroscientist.
Yeah, she's the doctor in the family.
Yes.
Dr. Sherelle Henderson.
I studied neuroscience, but I'm not a neuroscientist.
Yes.
And so that means she's deep. And, so I would love to get into some conversation with that, because when we talk about that, the neuroscience, the endocrine system, and so forth. Yes.
I'm sorry. Who am I speaking with?
Sherelle Henderson.
Hey, turn us down in the back.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, you're fine.
I'm sorry. Who am I speaking with?
Yeah, and it's a delay.
Hey, turn us down in the back. Oh, there we go.
Okay, how are you?
I'm doing good. How are you, my love?
I'm good. Thank you for the compliment. And thank you for jumping in on tonight's live. I really appreciate it.
Yes.
Support.
I appreciate that. You caught the attention of Mr. Diamond, and you're just right up his alley with all those big words you was just using. Diamond, do you have any questions?
Yeah, I got a lot of questions. It's just so much, and actually, just want to build on this because, you said some real good stuff earlier when we were talking. You said not the THC, but you was talking about foods rich in L-tyrosine can help modulate dopamine, but also but first I want to talk to you about one of the other ones that you said. You were talking about how overproduction of overindulgence of prefrontal alpha waves can cause depression and so forth. Can you expound on that?
Oh yes, absolutely. So in the frontal cortex, that is the home of the alpha wave that travels throughout your brain. So increased alpha wave activity actually has been linked to not only ADHD and ADHD or ADD in adults and children, but also with generational trauma, PTSD, things that, excuse me, I'm sorry, my phone's breaking up here, but, things that have for a long time been seen as, something that is nascent, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. So,
Okay.
regulating your alpha brain waves through metacognition or meditation is a very good way to alleviate some of these symptoms of ADHD.
Yes. So the way that you were talking about it before, the frontal alpha activity, because normally when we talk about these neurological conditions, normally there's a disassociation or decreased activity from the prefrontal lobe, which can cause a lot of these neurological conditions. So so when you mention the alpha activity, the prefrontal alpha activity, does that connect? Are we seeing more activity in the prefrontal lobe, or are we seeing decreased activity in the prefrontal lobe in that aspect? Because I know meditation alpha activity actually brings a connection and increases activity in the prefrontal lobe. So which is that what you were saying before?
So it's an overactivity of alpha waves in the prefrontal lobe. It actually comes down to a decrease in the ratio of the three rhythms of your brain, alpha, beta, and gamma. So it's a dysregulation of these three rhythms, and the alpha wave, the increase of the alpha wave, throws the other rhythms out of sync. So what you're seeing is when they say decreased frontal lobe activity, they're talking about beta and gamma.
Gotcha. Okay. Right. Because those are higher brain frequencies, higher brain cycles, especially gamma. Yeah. Okay. And I can see how because those do those would work to disassociate the prefrontal activity. Okay, so I can see that.
Okay.
I can see that. Now let's. What's wrong, y'all?
No, I'm listening. I want to know about this L. What did you called it out? Foods rich.
Okay,
And...
I was finna get to that.
Okay, go ahead. Go ahead.
All right, so L-tyrosine. Can you tell us what L-tyrosine is, and also elaborate on the foods that you mentioned where that contain these?
So L-tyrosine is an amino acid that the body makes from phenylalanine, which are it's essential. It's an essential component for the production of several important brain chemicals. So that includes epinephrine, norepinephrine, and dopamine. And with the increased processing of foods, we're losing a lot of L-tyrosine in our diet. So that's a whole another cultural phenomenon that it's that relates to a food wasteland. But foods rich in L-tyrosine do help to regulate dopamine because it is a precursor for dopamine.
So also what we're also seeing, and let me know if if you see this too, but there's also an increased sensitivity or an allergic reaction to phenylalanine, which is associated with something like celiac disease and things like that as well.
Mhm.
Okay, so and I'm thinking somewhere that has something to do because as we've seen gluten sensitivity increase, we've also seen an increase in sensitivity to phenylalanine, which you say also is a precursor to L-tyrosine, which so which brings the so this is what I'm saying. This is why I wanted to talk to her because these connections we have to see that it goes deeper. This stuff didn't just happen. People don't just wake up,
Right.
all of a sudden in 1980 and ADHD. ADHD or AD. You have to understand there's a connection. There's an environmental connection. So first, in order to manipulate the chemistry of the body, there needs to be somehow a manipulation of the agricultural industry and also other forms of environmental manipulation. You see?
Okay.
So this is what I'm saying. What would you also assess that assert to that Cheryl? I want to make sure I say your name right.
Well, yes. So I am a huge advocate of what I call, or what's called, food sovereignty.
Mm-hmm.
It needs to be a return to more traditional methods of harvesting and getting food out to our communities. There needs to be an increase in Black farmers. There needs to be a return to organic.
Mm.
I bet you in the next 50 years, you will see a downtick in a lot of these disorders, like sleep sensitivity.
Wow.
So, and I agree. So that really highlights that there has been a silent, covert, sinister plan to get us where we are today. Okay, it definitely has been. So and I'm saying this because we're not going to. Remember, I told y'all before that what we're looking at when we talk about ADD, ADHD, and so forth, we're looking at effects. If we start dealing with the effects from the level of effects, we'll never get to the issue. We'll never solve the problem. We must get back to the causation. We have to get back to the causation. So that's why, man. Thank you, Sherelle. That's so cool. Anybody else have because something that Ivy said also. She said that she went on the Mediterranean diet, which still today is the most healthiest diet in the world. She said she went on the Mediterranean diet and it made her get better. So research that Mediterranean diet and stop being out here playing around with your food with all this other stuff going on. It's about balance.
Yeah.
It's about balance.
Yeah.
All right. So, man.
Do y'all have any other questions for Miss Sherelle Henderson, Miss Dr. Sherelle Henderson? I want to thank you for calling in, love. I really appreciate it. How are you?
Oh, thank you. I'm doing well.
Don't be nervous. Don't be nervous. It's okay. You get used to it.
No, she is on point.
No,
tell her thank you so much.
He said thank you, and you was on point.
Yeah, that was real cool. That was real
That was
cool.
peace. That was peace right there.
Wow.
Oh yes,
that's peace right there.
I love you. All right,
I guess Brother Diamond, it look like it's coming full circle. Like you said, you want to talk about diets. Talk about the nutrition.
I'm sorry. This is things that people don't want to talk about. Who am I speaking with?
Hey, how you doing? This is Milk.
Milk.
Yeah.
Milk. He needs
going on, Milk.
Don't do it, Renee. Don't do it. Don't do it. Don't do it. Don't do it, Renee. Don't do it.
It's okay if she do. I use that in my speeches when I'm on stage. So
he needs some milk. No.
Oh, that's what the. Oh, okay. Okay.
I'm sorry. I couldn't help myself.
You're
I'm
so
so excited.
silly. She's so silly.
I'm sorry.
You
Tonight has
know,
been
milk is an
awesome.
acronym.
I forget what the acronym stand for. What does it stand for,
It's
John?
making intelligence cool. Look
Making
cool.
intelligence look cool with the K. I love it.
Yes.
How are you doing this evening, Milk?
Doing pretty good. How you doing?
I am
Seems like y'all
wonderful.
doing good. I don't even got asked. I don't got asked. I hear y'all laughing, having a good time, vibing up there. Yeah, I know you're having a good time.
I am. Did you have a comment for us tonight?
I would just call the comment about what y'all talking about. The comment I have is basically I do have ADHD.
Okay.
ADD. And you know, the thing is like living with it is almost like imagine having like 1,000 browsers up at one time in your mind. That's what it's like. It's like
Yes.
having multiple things going on at all times. And to me, I don't feel like it's a you know, I don't feel like it's a hindrance if you learn how to create a system for yourself. You got to learn how to create a system for your thought process, because if not, it can overtake you. You will consistently forget something. Like even today, like I had an alarm set to call in at 8 o'clock, but I'm so focused on something else that when John actually do, it's completely out of my mind, even though I set aside time for it. So it's like you got to consistently like double check, triple check yourself. You got to consistently set alarms to remind yourself to do certain things. And you got to make sure whoever you're dealing with, you got a partner, you got to make sure your partner understands what you're going through also, because if they don't understand what you're going through, they can feel like you almost ignoring them if you have tunnel vision and you focus on one particular thing at that time. So,
Wow.
That's some of my comments on it, man.
Yes.
Well, that goes along with what Roxy Hart was saying, and she was inquiring about her relationship, how she's dating, and I want to make sure I'm talking about the same, but she's dating a guy and she's trying to understand his behaviors, and I'm thinking she's alluding to he may be ADHD as well.
No, that was
So yeah,
Alexia. She said, "How should
was
I
that
approach
Alexia?
my partner who has ADHD? How can I be more supportive and understanding?" She wants to know
Gotcha.
how to
Okay.
approach it.
I think one of
Gotcha.
the things she can do is she should tell him, like, if she asks him to do something, she should say, look, can you set an alarm to do this? Because sometimes, like, me and my wife, we've been together for 21 years, so she know me, right? So, but even though she know me, she had to, like, learn that part of me, where it might seem like I'm not. Because here's the thing, when you, like, for me, the way I look at it, like, some things you're hyper genius at, and some stuff you completely ignorant to. So somebody might, if somebody don't know you have ADHD and they're around you, they can't even tell it's you just being you. Because like me, myself, I done written books, I'm an engineer, I do shows, I host shows, I get paid to do features, I'm a family man, I'm doing all these different things at one time. So if you don't know that I take have ADHD, and I might ignore something you might need me to do or want me to do, you might think I'm being disrespectful, but I'm doing multiple things, and my mom might be hyper focused on multiple things at one time, and this one area is really poor. I mean, if your friends don't know, your friends can feel like, yo, you call me every day, and then all of a sudden you might fall off, but it might be because your focus is something else. It is not that they less or more, it's just your mind is like that, and it's consistent. It's consistent.
Yeah.
Roxy said her main question was dating and new relationships. I don't know if he could help us in that because he's been married for 21 years.
Salute to the king for that.
Right.
Yeah.
That's
You know,
peace.
he can't help in that area. He's locked down and been locked down for 21 years.
I can't open that area. What I would tell her to do is, I would tell her to really figure out, like, because a lot of times when people try to date, a lot of times they don't get to know themselves. Like, really get to know who you are before you date, so you can really know what you want, what you accept, and what you don't accept. And also read up on books about it. Read the books like Men Are From Mars, Women From Venus, the 30 Love Laws. Read the book called The 5 Love Languages. Read these different books. Look about relationships. Because a lot of times, like, we might think we know relationships, but really we just know how to fuck. And we don't know how to have a relationship to keep a person. So that's what I would suggest any man or woman to do. Like, figure out what's wrong with you, what's your likes, what's your dislikes, what's your triggers, and stuff like that about yourself. So when you start dating, you won't look at the person you date like every other person you dealt with prior to you dealing with this particular person. That's what I would tell her.
All right, Roxy, did you get all of that? And he just said a whole mouthful. I think that's a future topic.
Salute, King. I appreciate everything he just said because he pointed out the main thing is holding yourself to a high level of accountability before you even enter into a relationship with anyone. That's deep. That was deep.
Know yourself.
Wow.
Know yourself. Know thyself. Yeah.
Affects you.
That's
Okay,
deep.
now. Yeah, that was a mouthful. If you don't know how your ADHD affects you, you can't pursue other people and their stuff. Oh yeah.
Well, that's it. And that's on any relationship. You have to know, first of all, how you have to know you.
Yeah.
You know, and know what it is you're bringing to the table and what your limitations are. Because if that's going to butt up against other people's limitations and you think you got a problem, okay? No, you just didn't understand you and how to navigate around other people's limitations.
I have Milk. Absolutely. I got another phone call coming in, sir. I want to thank you for calling in with your comment. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, Milk.
Anytime. Y'all be safe.
All right.
Salute.
You too.
Peace to the king. Salute.
Peace. I'm sorry, this is God Level. Who am I speaking with? Oh, hey, Amina.
Amina.
Hey, honey, we know your voice.
I want you to know, I'm glad you picked this topic, and this is the reason why. As I was listening to you talk, and when I was listening to I talk, I promise for the first time, I felt like I had somebody who understood what it is that I've been struggling with. Now, I'm in therapy now, but I even started therapy because we had a great communication. And we just spoke to each other the day before Thanksgiving, and the conversation that we ended up having was us addressing why she asked me to not talk to her anymore. Ironically, one of my other friends whom I had not spoken to since 2017 also happened to walk up in the yard while my mom and I was talking, and he ended up telling me after I had a breakdown while talking to him, and I was explaining to my mom because she kept saying, I can't deal with you because you won't, instead of you saying that you can't do something or you don't want to do something for me, you just won't show up. And I was like, Mom, all of the other times that I show up, and out of the handful of times that I don't show up, this is what you choose to focus on, and then you're taking it personal. And I'm steadily trying to tell you that I'm not personally trying to disrespect you, but some days I can't be who it is for other people that I said that I wanted to be, and it's hard for me. And she's like, well, you could at least pick up the phone and call. And I'm literally like breaking down, crying and saying, no, I can't, because I'm having a panic attack about the fact that I'm about to disappoint you when all the other times I've been there for you, and this time I can't be there. And the reason why I can't be there is because I got all this stuff that I'm trying to do for myself. And I'm the type of person that if somebody else comes up to me, a random stranger can intervene in the middle of my day and need something, and I will stop what I'm doing for other people that I've actually had a real schedule for. I will stop what I'm doing and go help this other random person who's in need, because I don't know how to focus good. Like, I don't know. And I think it's part of, like, me wanting to be for other people what I want other people to be for me. So I've struggled, and I'm realizing now that I was masking. I became a people pleaser, but part of it is because I think I'm undiagnosed with ADHD. Since I was a little child, I have struggled to pay attention in school. I kept trying to explain to my mom and the teachers that I would literally be having concerts going on in my head, plays going on in my head, and they didn't understand enough to try to get me any other help. But I must have done as best as I could even went on to college like she said her son did. But eventually, it all was just so overwhelming, and I just ended up literally on the last day of school. I had one final left. It was my junior year of college, and I just woke up that morning. And I said, "Fuck this! I am out." Like, and after that, nobody could convince me to do anything else. I was just literally over it, and I really wish that somebody somewhere would have paid me enough attention, or if I would have paid myself enough of attention, if I would have had the information and knew so that I could have advocated for myself, because I really feel like I have not had the right opportunities in life. I could be further along if I would have been able to silence some of the noise, to be able to focus. Like, I am that same person that stays up all night long, and I just thought I had insomnia. And so I would try to be productive, so I would spend the night reading, studying, cleaning up the house, and all this kind of stuff. And then during the daytime, of course, I wouldn't necessarily be like tired in terms of like I can't wake up, but I would be exhausted mentally because like Ivy was saying, like sometimes people see resting like being still and they think you're being lazy. So my mom used to complain and say, "Oh, you all the time want to be in the bed." I'm like, I just stayed up all night cleaning up, organizing stuff, trying to get my mind to a settled place. So I was trying to do productive things with myself when I'm hyper, like when I have all this extra energy. I would try to channel it and do something good, right? But then, like I said, I find myself so exhausted the next day, and I just really wish that somebody could have, like, seen what I was going through enough to say, hey, maybe you need to get checked for this. Now that I hear all of these symptoms that I find myself identifying with one of them, I'm going to ask my doctor to, I don't know what the whole process is for getting checked or tested, but I'm going to ask them to do that because I find myself as a mom struggling sometimes literally trying to stay focused and on task. And the last thing that I want to do is, because I'm not in a place of homeostasis with myself, is to model those behaviors of being chaotic and undisciplined. And then my daughter learns those behaviors because she might not have ADHD, but if she's in an environment where that's what her mom has, then I'm going to basically give that to her through modeling that behavior. So I'm really grateful y'all did this tonight because I really feel like it shed much needed light on this issue for so many people. So blessings on top of blessings for y'all.
Man, thank you so much for calling in. Amina, we love you.
Love you so much.
We love
you so much.
Peace, Amina. Peace.
Ask for a psychiatrist. Only psychiatrists can administer diagnoses. So if you want to do that, if you're talking to your health insurance provider, hey, can you guys recommend me to a psychiatrist? Preferably someone who can make a mental illness diagnosis. That should be a route right there.
Who's that? Okay, it is it's that time. I don't even know where to begin. I want to thank Miss Ivy, for calling in and being our special guest tonight. You have literally shed a lot of light in a lot of people's eyes, including my own. I literally thought I was the only person that watched those reruns like that has that music playing in the background, and I have to stop immediately, go play it, where you're just that constant moving, but not moving in the right direction. Oh my God.
Yes.
The food, how the food is really changing who we are because we're not eating organically. I'm glad you mentioned your diet. I'm glad my sister mentioned the diet too as well, and how we need to eat more of certain things to help put our bodies back in homeostasis. I'm glad that Diamond was able to explain how the different types of meditation, it doesn't not all necessarily mean that you're just sitting in one spot. I thought it was I thought I was weird.
No, you still weird. I mean, but it's just other things that are happening.
When she said chasing dopamine like it owes me money, I will
Yeah.
purposely get on either oh my god, TikTok
Oh,
or
okay.
TikTok and look up funny cat videos, and I will literally sit and just watch and just laugh over and over and over and over again. When it comes to my favorite shows, just wow.
Wow. Yes. Yes.
Thank you. I want to thank everyone for watching tonight's live. Thank you to everyone who called. Thank you to everyone who left a comment. I hope everyone walked away with something. Thank you, thank you, thank you. John, you got us.
Yes, yes, yes.
Wait a minute.
What?
You ain't
What?
got nothing to say. You ain't got nothing to say. You stay ready, John.
Wait. No. You're right. Okay. I didn't know if we were gonna just shoot. Okay, cool. So no, I got you.
Go
No,
ahead.
you're right.
All right.
So I said, checking out my own affairs, knowing that my life is fair. If the shoe just doesn't fit, I'll design another pair. Always gotta be prepared, like hitchhikers on the road. Blessings always on the way, and on time, no delay. With good karma in my life, I ain't even gotta pray with my lips. I just really gotta stay on the path, give the vibe that the love in me resides. It just needs another home. I just need to let it flow. I'm a student of this life. Every moment is a test. Soul is glowing like the moon, but the sun is in my chest. Melanin is from the earth, friends and family galore. People care about my health. I'm able to give them more of my time, of my will, my resources, and my skills. I am able to be true. I am blessed to know my roots, from a seed to a plant, from a plant, and now a tree. Negativity control, kill the weakness in my genes. See, I got standards. I am free, positive. My energy vibrate at a higher rate through the time and through the space. Blessings might be in disguise, but I know they're on the way. Open arms, give a hug. I accept them with no mistake. Blessed.
Bless. We will see you all back here next week. Thank you.
Peace,
Salute.
peace, 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 peace.
Peace.